friends, welcome to another Let's Talk with the Doc. As always, I'm excited to be here on another Wednesday. And I know every week I say I sound like a scratch record because I'm excited to see who I have as my guest. And if I've ever been excited, it is this time because I have my real friend tonight on my live. And when I come back, I'm going to be talking to my friend, Bishop Owen Z. Martin. So this is going to be an exciting night, and I can't wait to find out his journey and his story and something that you think you know that you never know. You're going to find out when we come back and talk to the Bishop Owen Z. Martin on Let's Talk with the Doc. ORB Ministry presents Let's Talk with the Doc. Grace Without Borders podcast. A thought for you. Ask Pastor. And a whole lot more. You never know what's next or who will join the conversation. All right, all right. So here we are, Bishop Owen Z. Martin, my friend. Welcome to Let's Talk with the Doc. Can you hear me loud and clear?
I can hear you, sir. Good evening, pleasant good evening to you and to all your wonderful viewers out there. Great to be with you, hanging out tonight.
It is my pleasure to have you. My pleasure to have you. And welcome to Let's Talk with the Doc. And I know that I've been waiting for this time for a long time, and I don't know for whatever reason you've been trying to avoid it, but here we are tonight, and I'm excited to have you. So, welcome to Let's Talk with the Doc.
Thank
And
you.
now I'd like to find out the stories about my guests. And I know you for a long time, and I just want to throw this out there. A lot of people don't know how good of friends and how long of friends we are because they don't see us running up and down together. But it's been decades, literally. But I'm sure that there's some things about you that I don't know. And before I even make you give you a chance to tell us where you were born and what was it like growing up. I had one of my friends on here that have been my friend for 50 plus years, and I never know some things about my friend, my real friend that we sleep at each other's house, preach for each other, and never know some things about him till a couple of years ago when he was on this program. That I actually broke down in tears
Wow.
when I heard some of what my friend been through. So I don't know where it's gonna go with you tonight. But I'm getting ready for it. All right. So tell us about Owen Z. Martin before you was
I'm
bishop.
grateful to be here. Like I said, I give thanks and I give praise. What else can I do for all that the Lord has done and what He is continuously doing in my life as an individual? I am just being grateful because had it not been for the Lord on my side, I certainly would not be here tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that I'm here with you, it is good. You think I've been trying to be elusive, hiding, but the answer to that is a big no. I do my own shows and everything. So in the business of life, you have to find that little window where you can come in and hang out with friends like you.
All right. Well, I really, I'm glad. Patience is a virtue, and the brother said, "Let it have its perfect work." So here we are with the perfection of patience. So tell us and your friends, and even some of your brethren from your local church might learn something about you tonight that they're gonna ask you about later or tomorrow. So so
Oh
tell us.
my God. I
Tell us where Owen was born and what was it like, how many siblings you got, where you fall in it, what was the family dynamics when you're growing up. Give us a little bit of insight into the beginning days.
There are so many folks tonight who can fill in the blanks for me because I think my life is like an open book to most people. I could say to almost everybody out there. But I am Owen Z. Martin, and I love to ask people to kind of figure out what the Z means. It's one of the joys to hear them giving me all kind of names and so on. But the Z was given to me, I understand, from a grand uncle. And I don't know what he saw. Maybe he heard from the Lord, and he gave my parents my that name to give me. And it's a biblical name, right?
Okay.
Folks have fun at me at school. My friends at primary school and high school would call me Uncle Zeffy, and it's a fun thing for them back in the days. Did I like it? A thousand times no. I wasn't so keen on them calling me Uncle Zeffy because for me, growing up, Uncle Zeffy was a little old
As
man.
a little old man, of
An
course.
elderly man by the name of my Zeffy, right? So I kind of never like it. However, I have learned to accept it over the years, especially after I gave my life to Christ. I embraced the name because Zephaniah is meaning that I am covered by the Lord. The Lord protects and those good things. So, I learned to embrace it, and my friends they came to embrace it also. When I in growing up at school, graduation, I mean hundreds of people, and they called out Owen Zephaniah Martin, and everybody broke out into a big laughter. And but by then I was beginning to embrace the name. Wasn't much of a big thing for me. Today, uh, everywhere I go, it's OZ, OZ in Jamaica. When
Hmm.
and when in America, Z changed to Z, like Marcia changed to Marsha,
Hmm.
Dave changed to Dave, and all that. So you can't come to America and say Z. Everybody's gonna look at you as though, what are you talking about? So um the Z highlights the me, Owen Z Martin, highlights who I am, that I'm protected by the Lord. And that's from a child. And so nobody really can do me anything.
All right, all right. We can buy that. We can buy that. I won't be disappointed because I wasn't making any attempt to do.
Don't try to do it because it will not work. But,
I won't be disappointed
yeah,
because I have no plot.
thank you so much for that. No plan at all.
All
But
right.
I'm so delighted to be here with you. I must say that. Really delighted to be, after all these years that you've been trying to get me to come. I'm here tonight. So anything you want to ask me, please feel free.
And I am well, I don't know what to ask, but I'm gonna
Just think.
journey. I'm gonna journey with you
Okay,
and see what we discover, because that plan is to journey with my friends or my guests and see what in their lives that are uniquely different from the average person, because everyone has a story and everybody's story is different. So and I noticed that you talk about the Z, that which we're gonna come back to later on, that the I notice every time you make sure the emphasis is placed on Z. You don't want Owen Martin, you want Owen Z Martin, and you never forget to say Owen Z Martin. So,
I tell you why, I came to this country in 1999. I left the beautiful British Virgin Islands, and I want to say pleasant good evening to all my Virgin Islands people that's watching. I got text that watching you, so good evening to my Virgin Islanders. Great, one of the greatest places on the planet. You want to go to, yeah, before you get to heaven, make sure you go to the British Virgin Islands of Tortola. Hang out there for a while and enjoy the scenery. So when I came here, I, was doing all my papers, my documents, to be my status to be here. And after the immigration attorney worked hard and everything, just to make sure that I am who I am and I get to be settled here in the United States of America. One day they called me and to say, "Oh, Mr. Martin, the feds are looking for you." I said, "What? Feds are looking for me for what?" So I had this thing as a big joke, so much that the attorney said, "Mr. Martin, this is very serious." And I said, "But what have I done? I haven't done anything." She said, "It is very, very serious that they are looking for you." And so I jumped on the phone like right off the bat and called one of my friends who worked. She was in the police, NYPD here, big person in NYPD. And I called her and I said, "Hey, the feds are looking for me." And she just broke out in laughter at me because we went to school together, to high school. And here she was, a big officer now, learning that feds were looking for me. So she began to make a search for Owen Martin, right? And
Mhm.
she said she searched everywhere. She searched across New York. She searched all across the United States of America and wherever America has influence. She searched, and then she called me back and she said, "You know what? There are so much Owen Martin out there, but you are the only one who
And the
has."
Z.
And so the Z has become that part of me that nobody else has the Z except me, Owen C. Martin. So I just take pride in the name, especially because it's a you know, name. Folks will see me on the street and they say Owen Z. Other ministers I go to Owen Z. So it's a name that attracts, and I love it.
Okay, so our friend Raja B is on. So so yeah, we get up with that. So shout out to our friend Raja B who is on. So let me track back with because I like to go to beginning of days to find out where life began. So tell us where you were born, how many siblings you have, where you fall in the number, what was the family dynamics growing up as a young man? We take it little by little. Were you the mischievous guy or the good guy? Which one? So let's see. Give us a little bit of insight into Owen. Where Owen was born and what was it like.
I was born in Clarendon, and I want to say good evening to all the Clarendonians that is watching tonight. Bishop Dr. Roger Ball is a Clarendonian and all that. So
Oh, did I know that?
he is. He tried to cover it, but he's a real Clarendon. Good things come out of Clarendon.
You've been on my program a couple of times, but I don't know if I know that. Well, maybe it went by me.
Yeah,
Maybe it
Bishop
went by
told
me.
you that. But he's more American now than anything. But more so, not just Clarendon. I'm from the what I call the rural city of Hayes in Clarendon, Savannah district to be exact, is where I grew up. Whenever I tell people that, they say, "Don't know how you got rural and city together," you know. But it's where I am from because the
That's funny. That's funny. Get a rural city.
Hayes is one of those places that I am so proud of to say that I'm from Hayes because from I was a little boy growing up, Hayes has so much great people, talented people. And I kind of sometimes talking with some of my friends, and I said, "You know what, guys, I think one day the Lord just passed through Hayes, Clarendon, and just pour out some grace and some calling on the lives of people like me and Bishop Dr. Wentworth Heron, Bishop Dr. Clayton Martin, Bishop Dr. Byron Peart, and I could name many, many others. Vinette Heron, all these wonderful people from his. Also, we had some of the best, greatest sportsmen in the history of Jamaica. Why aren't they known? It's simply because those days the camera stopped at 6 miles, didn't come to the country. but some of the best of batsmen and soccer players, football, came out of his Clarendon. And
Really?
so I am really, when it comes on to his, I am proud. I declare it. I say yes. I am so excited to be from his, and more so from Savannah. So his consists of like 9, 10 districts that makes up his.
Mm-hmm.
Savannah is one of them. Corn Peace is another. So these two districts are two districts that has become so much a part of my life in growing up, right? Born in Savannah, born again in Corn Peace district, where the Church of God of Prophecy was and is still located there. So I grew up in both places. If I'm not in Savannah, I'm in Corn Peace, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was trained in Corn Peace. My spiritual mother was born in Corn Peace, right? And she helped to form my life as a person growing up. All when I didn't do anything wrong, she would just call me up into a meeting and set me straight. So in my formidable years, I was well, I was so well trained, and
So she set you straight even when you are already straight.
she straightened me even though I was already. Thing about it is that all my jealous friends, young men and young ladies in our church, they were so jealous of me because of my spiritual mother. They call me her handbag. So anywhere she going, she walk with me. She carry me if she go in Kingston. I learned then that women stay long in shopping because I would go with my spiritual mother and she walked 10 stores before she come back to the right one. So I learned all of that before I was married. So, but my
Before you get to the spiritual matter, we want to know when the spirituality part, when the spiritual part of your life clicked in. How did that happen? And when, I'm still going back to how many siblings you got, brothers, sisters, and where did they went fall?
oh my God, I could tell you that in all there is maybe about 15 of us, right?
Really?
Yes,
Did
but
I know that?
let me hasten to tell you that between my mom and dad, right? Between my mom and dad, there are nine of us, seven boys and two girls, right? Between mom and dad. Dad had other kids outside, which
Okay.
we grew up just knowing each other. You probably wouldn't be able to tell that they just belong to my father because of how we grew up, right? But nine of us, mom and dad, I'm the fifth one, four
Okay.
before me and four after me. So I figure myself as the balance.
Smack in the middle.
I balanced the group.
Smack in the middle. Okay.
Right. So I think I balanced the group. But we grew up there. We weren't rich. My father was a contractor, one of the biggest contractor in and across Clarendon. Right. Politics is something that I don't like because 1972, when one, my father never had a job again until he passed away in 85. So, I grew up just not loving politics like that. But we grew up well trained. Mother became a Christian in 1969, 70. And I remember perfectly well when what it was a Sunday evening, being in Savannah District, the Church of God of Prophecy was on a mission. And they were going to an adjacent district to have their evangelistic meeting. So while they were there, they got to a place called Waterman. Waterman takes you off the main road through Savannah and then take you back on the main road again further on down the road. Somewhere along that line, I think I know for sure now that the Lord spoke and told the then leader, my Deacon Smith, that go through Savannah, and they came through Savannah. We heard the noise, boom, bang, 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 all this marching band coming through. And everybody, the community came out excited about the whole thing. Then my mother at the gate, I remember I was 9 years old then. And I remember her saying, I would love to be a part of that church. Believe you me, you know the story. I must need go through Samaria.
Yeah, wow.
They got that story that I must need go through Savannah. The Lord sent them through Savannah because there was a family that the Lord just wanted to transform and make some great things. The rest of it is history because
Where your mom was going before that?
we weren't was Baptist. We were
Oh,
Baptist
oh, she was Baptist. Okay, okay, okay,
and Berean. We go to the Berea Gospel Hall and
okay,
the Baptist Church. Those are places that we would go to.
okay.
But then that pivotal year, 1969, 70, my mother became a member of the Church of God of Prophecy because the Lord sent them through Savannah. I look back at the record today. There is a Clayton Martin, there's a Owen Martin, there is a Charles Martin Jr., there's a Shirley Bobbitt Martin. All of us. There's a Gary Martin. All of us, right,
Hmm.
has turned our hearts to the Lord
Wow.
because of that one move where the church decided that they were going to just pass through Savannah. The following week, we had Sunday school at our yard, right? They
Hmm.
came, the church came, Sunday school began. And so they began planting seeds into our lives, as a family. Believe you me, I didn't enjoy all of it because Sunday evening was the biggest sports evening at the ball ground. And we couldn't go. We had to wait until Sunday school was over. Brother Price, Brother Bryce, two men, Price, Bryce. They sowed into our lives, upset with them when Sunday school was prolonging. By the time they say amen, we were there. All they could see was the back of our shirts. We were on the way to the bar. But Doc, God is amazing
Wow.
because 1980 became that kind of a year in our district. I surrendered my life to the Lord in 1978. I think you'll probably come back to that later. But
Hmm.
it was a year wherein I think the Lord saved us, my family, brothers and sisters. I mean, we were able to go to church. Savannah and Corn Piece was at odds end because one area belongs to and the other belongs to. But we were able to pass through, go
Hmm.
to church, and thanks be to God. Amazing. Uh, I told you my mom got baptized in 1970 by Bishop Lloyd Samuels. And I remember that morning, Sunday morning, it was so awesome.
That amazing man. That's
My
amazing,
life has
incredible
been
man.
transformed because somebody came and somebody sowed seeds that is still growing tremendously tonight as I sit here with you. God is amazing.
So it's interesting to just to piggyback on the must need go through savannah, right? Must need, like, okay, the disciples going, so, and Jesus got a must need go to, because there was this evangelist who was desperate to meet the real man who was a life changer. And as a result of the deacon being inspired, motivated, lured, dragged, or pushed through savannah, then God tapped into this family that produced all of these renowned men, I'm gonna say. Yeah.
It sounds so scriptural.
I know, right? It's all. And you know what, the thing about God is that he's amazing, and he works wonders, and he's past finding out, and as I said time and again, you can only understand things when you look back and see how the pieces fall in place, but God looks ahead and
Yes.
determine how it's gonna go. But you can't look at it until you start to see how the pieces
Amen.
fall.
Amen.
And that's why I said to a lot of my guests, depending what the conversation is, one of these days God will unveil to you the mystery of your history, how the pieces fall. So now this young man, your mother get attracted to. There was a Hayes brass band one at a time, right?
That was the band that came
That
through.
was the same. That was the same band.
Yes.
Because I remember those Church of God of Prophecy days when we had a Hayes brass band, and a one, which is the one from up uh
It's
up
Keisha
in
Catherine. It's in Catherine.
yeah, the other one up in Davidsville, the
Oh,
Davidsville
up
one.
on the hills. Yes, up on the hills.
Davidsville, yeah, the Davidsville brass band, and so yeah, and yeah, but amazing how she got attracted to that, and how did that impact you personally at that age? The music, the atmosphere, was it, did it spill off because your mother got attracted to it, or was something that grabbed you all by yourself at that age?
I think it was my mom who got. Um, it was my mom who really got attached because she specifically said, "I would love to be a part of that church." So because she began to attend this church, then as little boys, all of us went with her. It was maybe a mile and a half. I don't know if it was so far,
Well,
but
a mile and a half back then is a whole long journey.
we walked to church and we walked with her. So just being there with her, going to church, then we also got so involved in the ministry at Corn Peace. I tell you, I could not escape because my spiritual mother, I'll tell you about her later on, but I could not escape. I don't know that she probably, what she saw in me, only God knows then. Because I
how
was
how
just,
how, how did your life get impacted personally, other than what your spiritual mother see and say? How did your life get impacted, from an experience standpoint? How did that unfold?
oh, you want me to go all the way back?
Well, I mean, I'm talking about the amount. Well, we're trying to get to the detail about the spiritual encounter.
Uh-huh.
How did the experience happen, and what happened in a
See,
brief way
I
you
got
can say?
encounters. I could tell you that there were many, many encounters. I got saved, I got unsaved, then I got saved again, and I got unsaved.
Okay, like some of us, right?
Yeah, because I from back then I was a lover of music, reggae music.
So say me, my friend.
I loved it. So I couldn't get away from
You couldn't get your feet sanctified.
yeah. And there was a sound system right behind us called Masagan. And when Masagan turns on up the system,
Oh Lord have
you could
mercy.
hear it right in our house.
Oh
So
Lord have
it's
mercy.
difficult. But
Is that the Sata Masagana? Not is that Sata Masagana or just a Masagan?
Masagan,
Okay.
Masagan, it's a powerful song. Plus, there was a lot of big sounds, that used to come to our community, like King Tubby's, right? Emperor Fate, and some big sound from Kingston used to come down to our community to play. I was attracted to that kind of a life, just being a part of hearing good music. I loved it. I love it up to today,
If
right?
you talk to my wife and people in my circle, there were like three or four sound. There were like four big sounds in my area. One of them was one of my cousins, and one was my friend, and then the two were neighbors. And sometimes they're trying to thump each other out.
Yeah,
They're trying to thump each other out. So, and plus, there was a jukebox right at the center of my community. So if the sound systems weren't blasting somewhere, the jukebox was right there. But let's continue. Yeah, music, get the legs.
music was really my life, right? I tell people that I can sing. I can, right? But the Hayes band really was a big part of what attracted me. Today, I could only play the tambourine. I got it right here, so where I could shake my tambourine for you. I could only play that, but never the music. It was something about the music that drew me into and caused me to stay there at the church. It was a vibrant church.
So I'm just trying to tapping in there because you're so attracted to music, and then leaving, having to leave the world of music, like we used to call it, the world of music, and then find music in church, then that was like a substitute to, walking away from that, there got to be something. There got to be something that holds me.
I don't know, because music is music is pure, right? Music is really pure. Music is my life. I say it becomes an individual life. So music is pure. Many it's the lyrics that gets it twisted.
Right.
So um it held me being there at Cornpiece Church. The music, again, it was a switch because you couldn't really sing those songs or even move your toes to those songs, or else you
Oh,
know
you backslide again.
yes, yes. As a matter of fact, I tell you that after I surrendered my life to the Lord, I was going to play because I played cricket for my school, right? For
Okay.
my school. And I was going one evening to cricket practice, and I had to pass by Masagan yard. The man
Mm-hmm.
was pouncing and all that. And I suddenly felt myself going after the music like that. And then I said, "Oh my God, I'm saved. I forgot." You know, uh,
You went a little bit further than me with that, because my temptation was the jukebox was right next to where I was, and one of my favorite maybe Uri songs were being played, and I never not danced to that, but then my feet almost move, and then my heart said, "Oh no." But at least you start to tap to it. I got myself before my legs started moving. So
one of my going back was happened because of that. I was in my yard, and a song was playing, "Police and Thief in the Street, Fighting the Nation," Cornell Campbell, and I started to dance to the
oh
song, and
Lord.
then I stopped going for a while because I felt like I had gone back. I learned today that you know you don't.
I mean, back then, everything seemed like was a backslide. You backslide. Everything was so tense and on edge that if you did that, you felt, "Oh my God, I backslide." And in reality, as you say, as we have grown to know, you're not really backslide that easy and that simple, because you get tempted and you make a little move and say, "Oh my God," you catch yourself. But we learn and we grow.
Yeah, yeah. But I give God thanks though, for that His church, my roots planted there, right? And so was my mom, my brother Clayton Martin, a general presbyter in the same church,
Hmm.
out of Savannah, you know, and so many of us climbed the ladder in this church. We didn't start out to be anything, but like I told you, that I feel like the Lord passed through Savannah, Hayes, Corn Piece, and everywhere at one time and just began to select them.
Just that scoop you guys up.
Yes, and brought us together in such a manner that we today we are a lot of us are still connected, and it was around the same time when we talk to each other, that we are learning that, hey, that was when I felt that call to serve the Lord, right?
Wow.
So I really feel that the Spirit of God came through and just selected some guys back then.
So,
We
your brother Clayton is a little bit older than you are. So which one of the kids made the first move?
Clayton didn't know. Clayton in 1974, 72, 74. He surrendered his life to the Lord, right? So now mother had more power
Mm.
in terms of her prayer. There was a Clayton uh to help to pray. And every morning, I'm not kidding you, there was prayer going on in the house, and every name was called from the top to the bottom. And then again, there was really no escape. I don't, there was no escape. But Clayton surrendered in 72, 74, and began to follow the Lord. He went away to college, right? It wasn't until he would normally come back, and came back with this fervor for the Lord.
Mm.
Uh, Very intentional. When one of these days, when you talk to him, he'll tell you. But he was really very intentional.
I had him on my program about a year or something ago, and we actually, we had a good conversation too.
There you go.
Just
But
that I don't remember the whole thing now, because it's been a while. But
it was amazing, and helped me in so many ways, because when I saw him, his life, there was something for me to model. And
mm.
thank God today that, for Mother and for Clayton, who just amazing. I must need go through Savannah.
Wow.
That's
I,
the
I remember that. Because, and how interesting, because that's almost, you could almost say Samaria and it sounds like you say Savannah if you take if
there
you
we
if
go.
you say it fast, right?
Samaria for Savannah.
Yeah, I must need go to Samaria, I must to go to Savannah.
Amazing.
Wow. Wow. And look what the Lord has done. My friends, I'm talking to Bishop Owen Z. Martin. I'm making sure that I put the Z in there so you can make any mistake with Owen Martin. Because there are a lot of Owen Martins in America, but this is Owen Z. Martin, the only Z Martin in America. And this is my friend, my real friend for decades. Decades. Although you don't see us moving together in so many places, but trust me, we are really good friends. All right. So now you got saved. How did your life unfold? What was it like for you as a Christian going to school?
Wow. I got saved when 16, 17, and I was at Via Technical High School.
So you're a big boy then when you got saved.
Yes.
Kind of grown up. Okay.
But like I told
When you made the final save.
when I made the final save about 17, I made the final save,
Okay.
was right there. So, and at school there was like three of us there. We were these boys that you want a story on Monday morning, you'll get it. Were those stories true? No, not all of them. But we have friends who would sit down in the auditorium crowd, and we would give them a story like, we went to this party on Thursday night, Friday night we were there, Saturday night, and all that. So Monday morning was a big time. We had a big audience. When I got saved, though, that real time, and that morning I didn't show up in the crowd. So everybody wanted to know what happened to Owen, you know. And
So the three boys were three hot stuff in the neighborhood in the community.
we 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 had stories and we know how to talk.
And
And
some of the stories you make them up.
some of them were made of stories, you know. And everybody does that when you're popular in school. Everybody has a story because you want to keep that kind of
You don't want to make it feel like you're not like we say nothing not go on, you're not going with nothing, so
we
okay.
had the stories to share with them.
Okay.
Wow. The night though, when I went to school that Monday morning, I wasn't in that corner. So a young lady came and she said, "Owen, what's wrong with you?" And I just stood up there leaning on the pole, one of the poles at the auditorium. And she said out of everything, she said, Owen, you got saved? And I just nodded my head and said, yes. She ran back in the auditorium and she brought everybody out. And she said, Owen got saved. Owen got saved. They came for me, pulled me in the auditorium. And, after they were finished with me, I got slapped in my face and all that. When they were finished with me, I decided that I am not going back to no church
You're not safe again.
evening.
This is it.
Nowhere. Church was over for me because I got beaten up on that Monday.
Oh my goodness.
But that Monday evening, while I was home, there was a Vinette Heron who
Mm.
I saw her coming through my backyard, and she had like 9 other young people with her. Bishop, I tell you, that was a God move because
Wow.
who knew that it was done for me. But she came for me with those other young people, and they took me back to church with them.
So she knew you were saved Sunday night.
Yes.
And then she gonna just collecting everybody for going.
And talk to me, and I went up and surrendered my life. He prayed with me then, and it was a joy for Vinette. They weren't married yet, but it was a joy for her because she would march me back with her. I had to pass her when I was going home from primary all age. She was going to her place or her home in Corn Peace from Via Technical High School.
Mhm.
She would march me all the way back to Corn Peace. You need to give your heart to the Lord. You need to give your heart to the Lord till I was tired. Sometimes I would hide. Sometimes I have people who would carry news to her of what I was doing in school and all kind of something. But what can I say?
So she was like your band leader back then,
She was my band leader
without being appointed.
without being appointed. My care group leader, I'd say today.
Very good. All right, all right, all right.
He care.
My friends, hit your share button and invite your friends to join us. This is Bishop Owen Z. Martin. This is Bishop Martin. This is a well-known guy around here. We're just getting his story. Fascinating. I saw the evangelist minister Knox Murray say, he's linked up there to I don't know if he's from Clarendon as well, because everybody's from Clarendon. But all right, so we're continuing with the story now. Okay, what happened then after that? Take you out, take you back to church. How did you manage now having to go back to church and still have to go back to school?
The good thing, school was almost on summer, about to give summer holidays, right? It was May 14th, 1978. I got baptized uh, I think it was the 28th of May, 1978. So by the time all that transpired, it was time to go off for summer holidays, and I went straight into youth camp
Mm,
put on by the
mm,
in
mm,
Jamaica, the youth department in Jamaica, where Winston King was the leader for the camping ministry.
hmm.
I told you on Sunday how he impacted my life.
Right, right, right.
Oh God, I had
Wow.
an encounter.
What, and I'm not trying to cut you, but I'm just thinking, what a moment. What a moment for school to break and to go into camp. Because if you go to camp without a foundation, you're coming from camp with a good foundation. So it's camp gonna build you up over that week that you're gonna be in camp, that you're gonna come out transformed. So that was a great moment for God to take you from that experience and push you into camp to double dose you down, and then you come back, with double portion of power. So what was the camp experience, and how did it go after that?
Wow, the camp impacted my life in such a manner. It was at Bethlehem Teachers College, all the way over in St. Elizabeth, and there wasn't a lot of us. I don't even can't remember if there was 100 of us there. Not so much, but it was a powerful, powerful time in the with God and with these men of God like Winston King. Uh, Trying to remember a couple of others who were there. There was Manton Morris. There was Bishop McFarlane,
Yeah. Oh
these
yeah.
who were there.
Ronnie McFarlane was not Ronnie, but George was always in the kitchen, right?
Yeah, but we were enclosed with God for an entire
Oh
week.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Bishop, I tell you, for the first time, I mean, there were some little moments in those first part when I was almost saved that I felt God, you know, like in VBS and all that. But this time, something happened that I still cannot explain. I was on this journey and I came face to face with an encounter with the Lord. And I screamed, I rolled, I bawled, I hollered. It was a life changing moment for me. I never spoke in tongues then, but I knew that this was an encounter that would forever change my life. Plus, I saw these men who were very intentional in
Hmm.
how they carried on this youth camp. There were times when it felt like God was just walking all up and down in the place. It was an amazing, amazing 1978 youth camp at Bethlehem Teachers College. My life was changed forever.
I mean, camp. I mean, if we talk to maybe 70% of the Christians now in the age, maybe not even in the age, but in general, their lives have been profoundly impacted by camp. That's where a lot of them get saved, a lot of them get filled with the Holy Spirit, a lot of them get sanctified, as we used to call it, back then. Because camp was always high voltage, not just electricity. You have electricity at your church, but camp was high voltage, the high voltage wires.
Camp was charged with electricity, Holy
Yes,
Spirit, power.
high voltage.
And I'm happy, that I had that encounter because I would not have survived
Hmm.
at school if there wasn't this break in transmission for me. So when I went back in September, I was ready. I was so good. They made me a prefect. My life was changed. I
Wow.
was now in charge of groups because I was a prefect. I was leading devotions now in the auditorium. And to top off all of that, I was elected to be the the leader of the Interschool Christian Fellowship, ISC.
Wow.
So I was under the tree and I began to preach under the tree. My
Wow.
friends, same friends who beat me up, who told me all manner of things, they now saw me under the tree and I was preaching. They thought that up to today, some of them think that I started that tree church, but no, it was me. It was my brother Clayton who started that church under that tree.
Oh, really?
He was president of the ICF, but by this time he was gone off to college. And there I was now, following in his footsteps with some other great young men who served God. And in school, they were revered by people. They walked the schoolyards, and everybody know that that's the leader of the ISCF. So I walked in that shoe for a year because the appointment is for a year, and then you pass it on to somebody else. It was an amazing. I had
Wow.
people from different organizations who were part of that leadership team of the Interschool Christian Fellowship, and that molded me. And the Lord began to mold me early with other young Christian boys and girls that I was, the transformation was in that they now invited me to their church. Sunday morning, I was at the New Testament Church in Mayfair, Manchester Avenue, preaching a Sunday
What?
morning. Yes, and I mean, it was amazing. I tell you, I don't know. When I was 12 years old, I told my siblings that I was going to be the preacher. I said, I'm going to be the preacher of this family. I was 12. I wasn't saved yet. I was just going to church with mother. And I said that I'm going to be the preacher in this family. I could show them today where I stood when I said it. I was 12 years old, not knowing what I was talking about, just going to church. But I spoke it out that I'm going to be the preacher here.
So what was fascinating about being the preacher, that even though you weren't saved, you just think what made you see yourself there?
I saw great men and women. My pastor, Pastor Eunice Smith, was one of the greatest, most powerful preacher as a boy, young boy growing up. I watched her. Then there was Evangelist Robinson. There was Evangelist Mighty, plus other great women who were serving the Lord. Among them were men like Bishop Lloyd Samuels, Bishop Cornwall.
Those are exceptional men. Those are exceptional men for sure.
I grew up there and I saw these men, Bishop Bennett and men of God. Those are the renowned men of God who transformed my life. So I saw this gift in them and I wanted it. I really wanted
Wow.
it. And I
Wow.
told them that this is who I am going to be, the preacher. And I tell you, Bishop, the Lord took me places with that. The giftings began at school. That today, I'm the counselor for my class of 1980. I am the counselor there. They also appointed me as counselor for the alum here in New York. That I am the person who prays for them and all that.
Really? I
Because
mean, you're talking about some of those same people back from back then.
same on them. When
Wow.
like when we have high school reunion, then church is a must. Church is a part of the agenda for the week that we spend in Ocho Rios. It 1 year I remember so strongly that the power of God came under the tree on the beach, because every year it's an open year where people, all kind of people, come to listen to us, and I'm preaching awesome. One young lady came forward and she said, I surrender my life to Christ and I want to be saved. I baptize me now. And I took her by the hand. I walked into the water. I baptized her, and she's still serving the Lord today, right?
How long ago that? What? How long ago was that?
2016.
Okay, so you're a full fledged minister by
Yes.
then. Okay.
But
Um,
anything
I,
they need, I am the person they call.
Okay, okay,
So
and no wonder because I know you're a busy man, and you're always involved, and they're always going places. That is unquestionable. I'm curious about some of those. What had become of some of those who slapped you and thought you're making a fool of yourself by becoming Christian?
that's
What happened to some of them eventually when you came back to school? Full up of the power and the anointing and the influence, and ready to take it to another level.
they began to embrace me, They began to embrace me and to accept my decision, right? Because I was under the tree every day, Monday through Friday, between 12 and 1 o'clock. I was under the tree. And I think that's what the Lord used to kind of, establish me right there among them. I was preaching, I was singing under the tree. I brought in people to preach. I called a revival in school with my team.
Wow.
And for 1 week, Monday through Friday,
Wow.
we had a revival in the school auditorium. I brought in Sam Vassell from the University of the West Indies. He was leader of the Island ISCF, and
Oh,
brought him in to come and preach. So
that's a good guy right there too.
a young man, and he's been one of my mentor from back those days till today. Awesome servant of the Lord. So
Yes,
the
yes,
Lord
yes.
began to do something in my life from there. And my friends began to embrace me more and more, and knew that I was serious now. And
Mm-hmm.
this call, this brand new call on
Mm-hmm.
my life, was things were different. So
Wow.
it wasn't much of a struggle from then on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they saw the works of Christ in me. And I am so grateful. I have nothing to boast about, but I tell you, God has been good to me in so many, many, many ways. I give
It's not necessarily boasting, but it's rejoicing, right? It's rejoicing.
rejoicing.
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm talking to Bishop Owen Z. Martin, my personal buddy, my friend for decades, and I'm excited to be talking to him tonight. Um, other than aspiring to be a preacher, you say, okay, in the young age, when did you decide, when did you say what you want to become, other than I'm looking at the preacher, or did you just say, what, that's where I think the Lord wants to lead me, or when did you say, when did it happen that that's where you actually went, the path of ministry? Was that something that you projected, aspired to, or did you want to become preacher, thing went out of your mind and then came back? How did it all happen?
No, actually, what happened when I graduated from Technical High School, I did a couple of months at my primary school. I was a sub teacher at his
Uh-oh.
college school for a couple of months. And then after that, I worked at the Mapen Parish Library for a while too. But while working at the library now, I was still going to do evangelistic meetings. I was appointed by then the zone evangelism director for South Clarendon,
Hmm.
right? And it began there. So I was at work and I would leave. I am in Lionel Town, I'm in Longwood, I'm in Gravel Hill, because that was our zone, right?
Hmm.
I'm in his and doing revivals. I went into Clifton. Clifton is in Clarendon, close to Milk River, and
Hmm.
I preached out a church there. I was like
Oh.
21 years old. And, some of those folks might be watching tonight because one of them attends Life Worship Center, the young lady. So I
Hmm.
call her first member. She was my first member ever at 21 years old, 22 years old. So she's now at Life Worship Center.
Oh.
Her sisters also, are part of our church. It began in Clifton when I walked miles along with my team members. I was in the cane truck back in my three-piece suit and my attache case, hanging on for life. in the cane truck back. The cane trucks would go and drop off sugar cane at Monimus and Yarmouth
I know what money must as well too. Yeah.
to church, preaching in that district until we had a church there. I think it was Bishop Lesmond Graham who was our overseer then, parish overseer,
Parish was here, right?
and organized that church. But they didn't give it to me to pastor. I don't know why. One day I'll ask why didn't they give me that church to pastor, because
one day you'll find out. You'll ask.
one day I'll ask him why.
It maybe get too late. You better ask now because you never know. You might how you might have to wait until you get to
Because
heaven. So
no, the truth is that I sometimes I reflect, and there was a Manton Morris there who said to me that same evening on the church, I never forget, he said, they should give you this church because you started it, right? And he was talking truth. He was really speaking truth that you started it, so you should carry it on. Usually, when something is birthed by you, by
mhm,
us,
mhm.
by you as an individual, if the person who comes on next doesn't have the passion,
Right,
the
right,
drive,
right.
the
Yeah.
vision like you have, then
Hmm.
it's going to die.
They could drag it down. They could drag it down.
It dies,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, but God has a way of working things out. I think the bishop did well. He appointed me as from zone evangelist. I became parish evangelism director for Clarendon, and then for Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, and then from Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, I became the parish. I became the evangelist to the Caribbean.
So
So
so then you didn't have any time to pursue anything else in life but ministry.
yes, I made my choice after the library, working at the library. I could have gone to Michael College. My brother Clayton asked me because he was very influential in a lot of things, especially at Michael. And he
Mhm.
said, "You don't want to go to Michael?" He could have gotten me in there, but I said no. I said no. I gave up everything to go preach.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It wasn't until 2010 that I fully went back into school where I got a master's degree for
So
10 years. So I laid aside everything
oh my God.
to go and to declare Jesus.
Wow.
I'm not sorry. I've not regretted a moment in the whole thing. I haven't lost anything. What happened for me on the field has made me who I am today. Maybe if I had gone early college in Jamaica, I wouldn't have been so, which would have been a good thing. And I say to young men and young women everywhere, go to school, go to college and learn. But for me, I made the choice to go and to preach. And I look back today and I'm not sorry.
Listen, man, when things fall into place and you see God's purpose work out in your life, there is no reason to regret what didn't happen when, because only God knows that if you had taken that direction, maybe, and we can only say because of God's wisdom
Yes,
that He made sure that didn't happen. Because when you look at how God's purpose is worked out in your life now, all you can conclude, if it had gone any other way, chances are I wouldn't be where I am
that's right. Right.
now. So I give God glory for that. And I talk about even my own story. If I was telling my own story, I think if my life was different in my earlier years, maybe I wouldn't be saved now. But to God be the glory that He allowed it to go how it went, and here we are today, giving God the glory for our salvation and the ability that He has given us to impact other people's lives. So to God be the glory. So I remember, I remember your Caribbean day. I remember your Caribbean years. I remember those Caribbean years. I remember some of those. And we're not going to talk about some of those Caribbean story experiences. We're going to talk about them on live here. Because I eventually experienced some of those things that you told me you experienced. I eventually experienced some of them when I was in the Caribbean, Eastern Caribbean as well. I remember
Yes.
some of those, southern, southeastern Caribbean, whichever way we call that. So back and forth, going into the Caribbean evangelism. So your life is spent on evangelistic work.
I am an evangelist, right? I carry a bishop title, but I know how to take off my bishop robe and to be the evangelist that I really feel the Lord has called me to be. So, from my heart to everybody's heart, I am an evangelist. That's me. I have learned how to sit with people. I learned how to walk trenches. That's what I call it,
Hmm.
right? And to sit with the lost and hopeless and just people who are broken, hurting. And I'll tell you what happened in my life that has even convinced me so much more as to who I am today, right? I can't remember the year, but I was preaching in Jamaica at the National Convention. I was living in Tortola, I think. Or was I living here? I don't remember. But I was preaching in Jamaica. And I was talking about the servant with the towel. I preached from John chapter 1 to 13 and showed Jesus in all those chapters. Because sometimes I feel like the church miss Christ, who is the message, right? I feel like the church really misses who must be exalted.
Hmm. Hmm.
I was preaching, and I remember the night so such a manner that I called out a gentleman from his seat. He was sitting at the front seat, and I don't usually call out people like that, but that night the Holy Spirit would bid me to call him out, and I tell you, Elder, after I called him out, I because I was preaching about the servant with the towel, I asked for a towel, I asked for the basin, they gave it to me, and I sat right there on the altar while preaching. I was I was uh, rolling up this man. He took off his shoes, and when I rolled up his pants foot, there was a big sore
Oh wow.
his foot, the bandaged and bloody and running.
Wow.
Didn't turn back there, so I had to just go on, and I
Wow.
began to wash the bandage and wash his foot and all that, and that in itself has really it did something to me because people ask me then it was the man healed. I say, I don't know. I really don't know. Up to today, I don't know. He probably got healed, but I really don't feel like it was so much for him,
Right.
it was for me,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
Because after when I left there, I tell you, it was like months later, maybe a year later, when the Lord brought me back to that scene where, of washing that man's feet.
Hmm.
And he said, he showed me and he said, Owen, I wanted to show you what I've called you to. The world is messy.
Wow.
World is bloody and messy.
Wow.
And this is why I called you to be there, to wash the feet of the people whom you meet every single day because the world is a messy place without Christ. And that really was the what defined me. But I know who I am and I know what he had called me to. So today, my mantra is that I wash feet wherever I go. I walk the trenches. I go to places where, not many people in church would go, but I go, right? I go because that's a call. I'm getting a little bit emotional because, it's really when it's what God has called me to do.
Hmm.
So I'll go to the stage shows, I go to the dance hall, I go to the club to do ministry, right? I do ministry in my community, children from 5 to 17 years old. I talk to the Don. I sit with him. I have the Don to come clean the church with me and all that. Right? So God has put me into lives of men, young men like those. And people wonder, how did you make that happen, Owen? I don't know. I really feel the Lord called me for this purpose,
Wow.
right? To bring healing to the hurting and the broken, people whose lives are torn and just need a washing, a cleansing, right? I I go to the club. I remember one time I went to a place called Wild Palm. My boss in radio was doing his birthday. 2 a.m. I told him I'm coming, and I went there 2 a.m. in the morning. It was a Sunday morning, and I went there 2 a.m. I walked on people. When I got there, I saw people stretched around the block at that 2 a.m. in the morning. People. And I said to my deacon, I said, how can we get all these people to come to church? But they were there at the club. And when I went in there, the bouncers came for me and they brought me in. I was walking on people to go in the club the night. And after a while, when I got in, my boss said, he said, uh, my pastor is here and he has come to pray for me. Bishop, you could hear a pin drop in the club. I mean, the club was packed with people. And I went up and I asked the DJ to put on Hear My Cry, O God. And
So you took revival into the club.
yes, and I saw big men wept, weeping.
So hold a second. In the club, who was the one who said my pastor is here to pray for me? Who said that?
That's my boss. That's David Aniki Squeeze.
Okay. All right.
After I came in from the British Virgin Islands of Tortola,
Hmm.
right, I had that start and I did radio for 15 years with him.
I remember that. I remember that early morning thing you've been doing for all them long times.
I was on mainstream radio here in New York, 93.5.
Right.
15 years, no, 20 years. I did 15 with him and 5 years as my own producer on 93.5. Uh, but the opportunities I had, I in the dance hall and at the Grooving in the Park, where Grooving in the Park had like 50,000 people in the park. And there I was, Uh, it's what the Lord called me to. So I know how to put off my bishopric, my office duties, because, and to go to the streets and sit down with my basin and my towel and wash the feet of people who is hurting and broken. One time I was with I was in the community center at White Plains, up in White Plains, and there were like 5,000 people in the center. And after I prayed in that place, I mean, people came to me for prayer so much that Squeeze had to give me a room when Butcher was outside, when Barris was outside, when Marcia Griffiths outside, and all them outside going on. I got a room where people were coming in. I mean, Pastor, pray for me, pray for me, pray for me. Right. So I know what God has called me for. I am an evangelist at heart, and everything I do, evangelism is at the top of my game because I can hear the screams that you have to listen closely to hear people screaming for help. You have
Wow.
to be close to see to see the tears that's running down and to feel the hurt of these individuals who need their feet to be washed like that gentleman whom the Lord called me to call out and to wash his feet, bloody and messy. Those days I had no gloves to use. It was my
Wow.
big hands. I washed his feet.
Wow.
That has
Wow.
impacted my life, Bishop. So I know what the Lord has
Wow.
me to do.
Wow. I'm talking to Bishop Owen Z. Martin again. Well known man around the Caribbean and now around the United States as well. Been in ministry from youthful days. Still a youth, still a young man, but he's been there, done that. He's had his hand full. He had the experiences, and we won't even go to the details of the Caribbean because that's another whole other story. But I'm thinking now, Bishop, that not everybody, well, not everybody is, we used to say, we used to say back in Jamaica growing up, some people cut out for something. Not everybody is cut out for something. Like, not everybody has the evangelistic skill, the evangelistic fervor, because as you said, that is dirty work. That is the groundwork.
Yeah.
That is cutting down the ticket. Some people can pick the fruit when it bear on the vine, but to cut the ticket down and to plow the ground, to pull the roots out and to make it fertile ground. That is the evangelistic work,
Amen. Amen.
and the pastoral work is to reap the fruit and take care of the fruit that is it don't get crushed up and stuff like that. So that's the good tender part of it. But when you have a combination of both, you can break the ground, you can plant this seed, and you can reap it, and you can take care of it. That's we talk about all rounder. You play cricket, we talk about the all rounder in the cricket. Listen, the all rounder stand a better chance of getting in the side, because if they have enough bowlers, they might not need another bowler. If they have enough batsmen, they might need another batsman. But when you're an all-rounder, you can bat, you can feel good, you can keep, and you can bowl. You stand a great chance of getting picked for it. And I think there are only some people in ministry who fit that mold. And to God be the glory that you are one of those people. You're one of those people. All right. I'm talking to Owen Z. Martin. So, Bishop Owen Z. Martin, Evangelist Owen Z. Martin, Bishop Evangelist, Dr. Owen, whichever you want to call him. Okay. So, you veered off. You've been into radio a long time ago. Many, 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 many years you've been in radio. Um, Before we get to radio, tell me at what point in Owen's life that he say, you know what, I can't just I can't just do evangelistic work all the while, by myself. I'm gonna need somebody with me. When did the sanctified, Holy Ghost filled brother, evangelistic, passionate man, when did this sanctified Holy Spirit filled brother focus on changing the lives of others? When did you conclude, that, hey, you know what, I'm going all this by myself now. I need to find me somebody to either hold my hand, or I hold their hand, or somebody to pray for me, or what? When did you how and when did you come to that conclusion?
Wow. I don't know. I just want to only say this, that I went into St. Elizabeth, right, to do evangelistic work. I ended up pastoring for 3 to 5 years, I think about 5 years in St. Elizabeth, pastoring the Gazeland Church of God of Prophecy and the Georges Valley Church of God of Prophecy, right?
And you went there to do evangelistic work?
Yes, I went in to preach. Bishop, uh, Bishop Lloyd Samuels
Here he comes again.
brought me in there to come and to preach. And thank God, the church at Gazeland really needed help. And so I went in there to basically help by Bishop Les Manguel was the overseer. So he's the one who really sent me. Bishop was the overseer down there, right?
In St. Elizabeth.
He
Yeah, okay,
there I
yeah.
met, there I met uh, Paula Lee Patricia Reed. She was pastoring at Bull Sav, strong pastor. She went down there to do evangelistic work too before me. So there I met her.
Oh, so she was pastoring the church that you pastor after a while,
Oh,
afterward?
she was pastoring before me.
Oh, she was pastor. Okay, okay, okay. So all right, all right. So she was in pastoral work before you got into pastoral work.
I had to learn a lot from her.
Okay, all right.
From her, she's a real pastor.
Okay,
You know, I'm the evangelist. She's a real true pastor
okay, okay.
that has the pastor's heart. She spent long nights putting all these things together, names, who to call tomorrow, who to call. I'm an evangelist, okay? She's the pastor. I'm learning so much from her. But I met her there, and the rest of the story became history. That I went to preach, I went alone, and I left St. Elizabeth married. That's how I tell my church.
Hold a second. Tell me more. From a chaplain standpoint, you say, okay, tell me more.
I went in to preach, and I left there to do the Caribbean work married.
Wow. So hold a second. No, when you went there, she was a pastor then.
Yes, she was.
Okay, so I'm curious now about the how the evangelist approached the pastor, how the pastor approached the evangelist.
I
How
thought the Lord would have. I see my members from George's Valley. That's Sister Catnat, Winsome Catnat, pleasant good evening. I see so many people, guys. I have to distract this moment, you know.
it's no crime. It's your story. It's your story.
Listen, wonderful people, Sister Flo Clark, good to see all of you. So it's just like I said it, that I went in there to help the Gaysland Church, but because Gaysland is in that circle with Bulsab and with Comma Pen, right? Those were the closest churches right there. And so when one is having a revival, then all three churches would come together for
Mhm.
that revival.
Been there, done that. When Asa Hall was our pastor, he was pastor in three churches, so we all do things together as well.
Yeah. So it was there when I went in to do that revival. Of course, I told you I met Paula Lee, Patricia Reed. She
So
was.
you went there to do revival, and you got a revival as well.
I got a revival. Yes. A true revival.
True, true.
Woo!
You got a life lasting revival. Oh my
I can't
goodness.
give you all the details because
Okay, all right, we understand. I did tell you in this story. You say what you want to say, and you don't say what you don't want to say. So that's
you beat
okay.
me up when if I say all the details, how the meeting and the greeting was and all that. So that's just reserved for you know um more of a
Okay, all right, all right.
Lord, Sister Elaine, thank the Lord. Hallelujah.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. We're gonna take it. We're gonna take it. Stories are fascinating, and everyone have a story. All right, all right. So, how long ago? How long ago? Maybe at least you can tell us how long ago that was.
That was 1986, and wow. So this year we celebrated what 39, something like that. Last year I was saying we were like 40, and she said, "How did you get there to 40?" When it was like just 38, but it was really so this year I think it's 39.
Okay, all
9 years
right,
ago.
all
And
right.
so we've been making our way. Um, want to hear the story? Nobody's going to hear the story like that. They have to come to church to hear the
Somebody said.
story, though. It's a real
Stories are
story. Praise the
stories
Lord.
are fascinating. And I'm thinking about what you're just saying to me here, and the song that came into my mind. The chorus used to sing, "Jesus gave the water that was not in the well." He said she went away singing and she came back bringing others. That's
That's deep, my brother, my friend. That's deep. Praise the Lord.
Oh wow, wow. That's interesting. That is interesting. Maybe we have to go to lunch so I can get the story privately. So okay, I get it. I get it. I get it.
Woo!
Oh my God. My friends, I'm talking to Bishop Owen Z, man. You can hit the share button because we're not done yet. When we come back, we're gonna pick up on some of the other things. This is just, I mean, he has a great story, and I know there's no one night that we could talk about his story. I mean, one night, we maybe we'll get to talk again with him about some other things in his story. But for the time being, we're gonna take a little break and come back, and then let him get a drink of water, and then we come back. We talk about some other things that he's doing now, and I'm sure that's my friend. I'm gonna get him again to come back. Maybe by that time, Sister Paula will tell him, Pastor Martin, Pastor Paula Lee Martin might tell him. You can tell them. We'll see what happens the next time. But when I come back, we will continue the conversation at Bishop Point Z Martin. Stay right there, my friend.
Wednesday, 8 p.m. Join ORB Ministries on Let's Talk with the Doc. Live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. There is a story, something to encourage and inspire you. You may even have a life-changing experience. You never know what's next or who will join the conversation. Stay connected. Subscribe to ORB Ministries YouTube channel. Follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Presents Truth Matters. Join the Truth Matters panel for discussion on issues of the times with host Dr. Orville Beckford Sr. and his panel consisting of Bishop Ishmael Charles,
Minister Ashana Knight, Bishop Woodrow Thompson,
Dr. Danette Ming, Bishop Anthony Campbell, and Pastor Shelley Antoni. Nothing is off limits for discussion. Follow ORB Ministries on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And be ready for the next hot topic on Truth Matters.
All right, all right. We are back. We are back with the bishop. We are back with the bishop, and we're having our conversation and tapping into his story. His story is his history. All right. So I mean, there's no way we can finish this conversation one night. I mean, there's so much to the story because we need to talk about the radio and we talk about your agent of what's that in the of influence.
Agent of influence and Operation Change, Let the Children Come Foundation.
So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that when we come back a little bit more in the conversation before we wrap it up. All right. So we know the marriage, brought bring forth two sons, and we know about that, and um, um, we know you've been set forth, ordained as bishop. We know all the little things, but tell us about, because you've been in radio for a long. Yeah, somebody's talking about part two already. Yeah, we want to get part two. So you're gonna promise your friends that you're gonna come back and pick up, because you got a lot to talk about. You got a lot to talk about. We haven't touched some of your own personal things and the highs and the lows in ministry. We're gonna see we come back and see if we can find some of the highs and the lows in ministry, as we continue before we wrap it up tonight. But tell us about the Z Life Radio, because I know you've been in radio for a long time. I think I went to you one morning, one of the early morning. I think when you down in Manhattan, I think I went there with you one morning, long, 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 long time ago, until you are doing your own thing now. Give me a little insight in how did Z Life Radio get birth? Where's the beginning stage of that? Veer up into doing your own production. Give me a little bit insight in that.
Z Life Radio, well, what I do call it today, began about 2016, began to put into place what I also feel like the Lord had called me to. When I came here in 1999, I went to gentleman who became my boss, as I told you, Squeeze David Aniki,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just to have him to advertise something for me. The conversation lasted like for 4 hours. And he said, Pastor, I like you, there's something about you that I just like. He said, I can't tell what it is, but I like you as a person. And then he said, can you do radio? I said, I've never done it before. He said, listen, come and do a taping for me. However, it would have cost me $500 per program, because this is mainstream radio that I would have to be paying $500 per week. And I didn't call him back. But one evening he called me. One evening he
You,
called me.
you, you mean if you were doing your own program on his radio, it would cost you that to do your own program?
If I was going to do my own program,
Right.
it would cost me $500 per program.
Wow.
Uh, so 2 weeks, 3 weeks passed, and I didn't call him. And he called me back and he said, what happened, Pastor? What going on, man? What about the thing we talk about? And I said, boy, Squeeze, the church don't have no money to do this thing. And he said to me, listen, money or no money, come and do this thing. Come and do a taping so I could hear you. I went and did the taping. I think I did about 4 tapings. And he called me one day and he said, listen, Pastor, this thing taking off, people asking, who is this pastor? And so come and do it live now. So I got up 5 o'clock. I got up 4 o'clock in the morning because the program would be at 5 o'clock. And I would go and do 1 hour and head back home. So he said, because it's growing and people asking, I'm going to give you from 5 to 7 o'clock, right? 2 hours I got. And I started doing those 2 hours, which began to mushroom, and people were.
And that was Sunday mornings, right?
That was Sunday mornings.
Early
Yeah,
Sunday mornings, right?
Sunday mornings. And people began to know so much more about our church across the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and beyond. And it was going so well that he called me back one next day and he said, Pastor, I have 2 more hours, can you do it? This time it's from 3 to 7 o'clock.
Wow.
2 additional hours, where I'd now be doing 4 hours from 3 to 3 to 7 a.m.
This guy doesn't want you. This guy don't want you keep. Just want you to keep his radio alive, man. Keep.
When I look back today, then I understand that that's perfectly right. That's what he wanted me to do.
want you to keep his radio alive.
Yeah, I've had several people who worked along with me between those 3 to 7 o'clock. You came a number of times, and but really and truly, he'll tell me today that you made Sunday morning radio here in New York, and
Wow.
I take that as a blessing. I brought the church to this place on radio, 93.5 FM WVIP it was, and it just everything just break out there, and I did that for 15 years.
Wow.
Paying $1, not a penny. I paid for 15 years. He said to me, he said, Bishop, anything you want, from this program, it's yours. I don't want no money from it. It's all yours. So there are good sides to David Aniki. He's a good man. I celebrate him because had it not been for him, I probably wouldn't be here today doing this with you. But it was a privilege. Everybody know me. The dreadlocks in the street. I have the best friends who are Rastamen. The Rastamen and I are the best of friends. They come to church, they call me out, Pastor Martin, and so on. They'll hear me in the restaurant. I go to order something, and the guy serving said, "Talk again, let me hear you."
Familiar voice, right?
And I said, "Yes." So he really gave me a voice in the community, which I celebrate today. Like I said, he would ask me to come to his stage shows and all that, and I would go and pray. So everybody knew Pastor Martin, and out of that we began to do our resurrection gospel train experience, and which was on Good Friday every year.
Right.
And we things just grew out of that. So today, really, no. So 2015, I began now to shift to create my own radio, which is what we have as Z Life Radio. And, I produced my own show on WVIP between 2015 and 2020. So when the pandemic was rolling in, funds were low, I stepped off and began to do fully now. Z Life Radio. I worked with Caribbean Radio. I work with several radio stations. From that, I used to do radio with Love FM early morning with Leon Nash in Jamaica, and I'm here. And it was before we had this kind of a technology. We would do dial-up. So it was dial-up
Right.
coming in, and I would be broadcasting in Jamaica, and he's broadcasting here in New York. So, I just want to give God a lot of thanks for.
Now you just can click a link and you like write in, boom, here you go, anywhere you want to go.
Oh, I know it. I teach others now how to do this thing, right?
All right.
I might give them their own show and all of that. So just as someone did for me, I now do for people. I give them their own show and so on.
So maybe you gotta get me a link so I can put, let's talk with the doc, link up into a radio going somewhere, and on Wednesday night. That's what I do every Wednesday. So I'm making my public request here to the radio master. All right. Say that again.
Always have to run, we say.
All right. So you say what's good for the goose, not good for the gander. That's all right. That's all right. Anyway, so tell us about what is Z Life Radio now? What do you do on Z Life Radio, and where people find Z Life Radio, and what's the programming like?
Z Life Radio. Presently, what I do, I have a morning show from 6 to 9 a.m. Now, this is radio. People can download the apps and they can see me live as long as I feel like I want to turn on my cameras. Because some early morning, I don't want to turn on my cameras because I don't have the morning looks like that. I have to wait until the day sweeps in. But Z Live Radio broadcast as powerfully as I did on 93.5. All my listeners came over when I did it on Caribbean Radio. I have all those listeners who still tunes in to me on the Z Live Radio network. I broadcast on the network. There is GGFM, There's a CJ Gospel Radio that comes on. There is RLOM Gotel Radio out of Atlanta that broadcasts in Trinidad and Tobago, in Grenada, and Carriacou, right? In those areas, live radio I do in the mornings. Yeah. So Z Live Radio is that network that we it's people based, and our intention is to really reach people through my evangelistic effort, right? We did a lot of work in the throughout the pandemic. We did that. Those were live radio I did on Facebook and YouTube during the pandemic, and I still do a lot today, right? In terms of my the broadcasting power that Z Live Radio carries today.
Mhm.
We're making that impact, and I say to everybody that's watching, please to download the apps. Go and look for make the search in your Google, in your Play Store, or in your WhatsApp store, and look for Z Live Radio and download the apps. You can listen or you can watch live.
So that Zilla Radio, that's an Apple as well.
It's an Apple and also an Android. Yeah,
Okay, all right, all
yeah.
right,
I'll send you the link when I'm done.
okay, all right, all right, all right. So one of these days, maybe I'll appear on Z Live Radio, so and talk with my friends.
It's only if you can wake up that time of the morning.
Well, we're gonna make sacrifice. I go to bed like 1, 2 o'clock in the night, in the mornings most of the time. But if I ever make a sacrifice, I'll make a sacrifice.
Because I wake up early, and this is wherever I am in the world, anywhere I go across the world, at 3 a.m. I am up. It has become a part of my life for all these years. So I am up preparing now for what is a 6 to 9 o'clock radio show here on Z Live Radio. And then I jump off, I get ready, I'm at church. Sometimes I preach. I don't preach a lot now, like I used to preach one time every Sunday. No, I have people who preach, and so I have great ministers who do the preaching. But when I do preach, I leave here, I get ready, I am on to church, and sometimes my day ends at 7 o'clock when I crash, right? Like that. So it's a part of me wherever I go. I don't have to be doing the show. I wake up. My body tells me that I need to be doing something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you got you. Again, we're talking to Bishop O.Z. Martin, Owen Z. Martin, and that's where Z Life comes from, right?
Z Life, yeah.
you
I
just,
was on my
you,
way.
you just can't get rid of the Z, can you?
I was on my way to Buffalo one year. That was maybe like 10 years ago when my son was at UB, and I was almost going through Rochester where you were, and it just came to me. The name came, Z Live Radio, and I wrote it down. I was still on 93.5, and I said, I'm going to make this my radio station, and I began to think about it, and it came to life for real, Z Live Radio. But I remember I was on the highways going into Buffalo when all of that came into my spirit, and thank God, here I am today. The rest of it is history.
Blessings and blessings. We see all JB is popping on here right now. So yeah, this is kind of spreading around. All right. All right. So
Oh, I do family time. Oh my God, my studio is in my house, in my basement, where I am sitting right now. I come down the steps and I am on the radio. I just have to go bang and I am on. So it's not like I travel out back in the days when you would
we got to hit down to Manhattan and get no. Here am I as well. Like, that's where I am too. I do everything from my office studio in my basement as well. So that's where I am doing all of my live programs. Well set up here. To do what I do. All right. Okay. That is on the spiritual side, and now you have, with this beautiful yellow background behind you, that's something that you have been doing as well. Agent of influence. Is that the name of that? Influence, right?
It's Operation Change, Let the Children Come. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, the one with agent of influence. That's what behind you back there.
Influence, agent of influence.
Influence, right? That's why I'm just trying to make sure I get that. All right. So tell us about agent of influence or Operation Change, Let the Children Come. How did that come to being? What's the inspiration, the motivation, and et cetera on that one?
20, 2019, I went to Jamaica for the first time. Christmas I spent there after 27 years. Christmas
Wow.
in 2019. So rolled over into 2020. I was still in Jamaica. I was in Mapen. For those who know Mapen, I was out in where the KFC place is. And I saw two little girls come knocking at my window, the car window, and selling me stuff. And I said, I'm not buying anything from you. They said, no, sir. We said, please, sir, buy candy from us. And I said, no. Oh, we want to make money to go to school in January. And I said, you're lying. No, sir. No, sir. We're not lying, sir. We're not lying. We're telling you the truth, sir. Long story short, I met the whole family there in the streets where this 11-year-old and 12-year-old were selling stuff. The story is, Bishop, that I took them out the streets.
Mm.
And said to the parents, no more selling on the streets for these two little girls. And I took over the family. When I realized it was a family of 11,
Oh, Lord of mercy.
them over. I gave the kids right there and then school money to purchase school. Now this was going to flow right into the pandemic, and I gave them the money to go buy the shoes. So people say, you gave them the money. I say, yeah, I gave the mother, and I said, you could only fool me one time, right? Anyway, I said, take pictures of the receipt and everything and send it to me, and which he did. The kids were able to go to school. The pandemic came in. They were home, couldn't do the schoolwork. So I bought tablets for them, right? And gave it to them. I sat with them in my living room, helping them to do their homework that they got. So I was here. Both of them was there. These kids passed their exam.
Oh, wow.
One went to Garvey Masio, and the other one passed for Clarendon College, and I started them on this track. I gave the father 3 weed walkers. I gave him, right? And I said, you are going to feed your family, not me. He has since then used these weed walkers to support his family. I found out later on that he spent a lot of time in prison, and I helped to transform his life, Bishop. This guy that when he called me one night and he said, sir, I have to tell you this thing, because I don't want anybody to tell you. He said, I spent years in prison, and he told me the whole story and how the Lord spared him when the police shut up the car, and he was the only one whose
Wow.
life was spared. And so I began to walk with him and to help him. He's at church. He's a Christian now, and his family goes to church and so on. But these 2 little girls became a part of my life.
So you were like an angel in disguise.
Yes. So I assisted them. I helped them to find a house. They were
Wow.
1 bedroom, all 11 of them, and I helped them to get a house with 5 bedrooms. They didn't know what to do with it, but that's where they live now, in that 5-bedroom house, where they now pay money into NHT so that they could they will own it later on. So they have opportunities to own those. So from a 1-bedroom house to a 5-bedroom house, it was a quick response. I talked about it one time. Quick response that within 4 days they had the keys to this house, right? To go there, to live in the house. They had to paint it up, clean it out, and all that, and that's where they live now. Right. So
you have sources you have great connection to kind of tap into that.
I don't know, but
or it's another of God's miracles.
Part of the story. But good night to my brother Jabez. Pleasant night to you, sir. So it was out of that Operation Change, Let the Children Come was born. I went back into my community in the heat of the pandemic, and right there, I bought 50 tablets. I asked some money here. People gave me stuff. I went home. I shipped home 50 tablets, right?
What?
Plus books and everything for school. And I went in there and I knocked on doors and I said to people, lend me your child for 3 days in my community. and they did lend me their child. So over 3 days, I met with them and I began training and developing their minds. Operation Change, Let the Children Come is an academic mission. We present a holistic message where we teach them the scriptures, we train them up. I bring in social workers. Some of my folks from our church here comes along with me and does an excellent job. I bring in a dentist. I have the politicians are coming there now and saying, "Wow, we wish we had more Owen like you and all that." So there's a transformation that has been happening in my community since 4 years ago. Next year, gonna be here number 5, and we've been making this impact through Operation Change, where the children are now in school. 50 of them grown to 80 the second year. The third year, I had 97. This year, I had 110 kids over the 3 days, training them intensively, training and developing their mind. One of my resourceful person, I must say kudos to her, and that's Dr. Paulette Bryan out of Jamaica. She was one of my inspiration because I saw her doing this in her community. She had she had VBS in the yard in the people's house. I think it was over the pandemic time too, and I learned from that. I said we could do this too. So Operation Change was born, and I began to sit down with the parents and with the kids. I told them that I give you the tools, you have to do the work. So I followed them every year. I follow them through schoolwork. I have to get book work. I have to get everything they do at school, because if they're not performing, you can't be a part of the program, right? And I've been getting all those results. Now, please, I don't know if I said it's from 5 to 17 years old. So when they graduate from school at 17 years old, we graduate them from the program, right? We have had a couple of graduations since, where the 17 years old now are going off to college, and some have gone back to sixth form. All of them get brand new laptops to go back to whether it's college they're going, or go to sixth form. So intentionally, we are into their lives. I know what's going on. When I go to Jamaica, I go over to the school and they hear that Uncle Owen is on this in the school compound, and everybody come running. Uncle Owen, that's at Technical High School. I went over to Garvey Masio. Oh, Uncle Owen is here. Everybody come, running. So it's building a community through the efforts, Operation Change. Let the children come. We graduate them, as I said, and I also, at the end of the 3 days, the fourth day, which would be Monday. Usually it runs Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday, everybody go to church. I say, guys, we're going to church. Some belongs to whatever church you belong to. I say, go. And then on the Monday, we go on an excursion. 2 buses. I wish I had my pictures for you to show the buses rolling into my community, right?
Yeah,
Two.
if I thought about that, I would get some clips. Right, so that's why you're gonna have to come back the next time. We're gonna spend more time talking about that. So I'll have some video clips to play.
I'll give you clips next time. So you
All
see the
right.
buses rolling into the community, and the kids boarding the buses. I took them to Port Royal. I took them to the airport. Then I take them to Hope Gardens, to Devon House. Last
Wow.
year, I took them to the University of the West Indies, because I said, guys, here is where you're coming. This is where you're going to come to pursue your dreams. So intentionally, the trip is not just an enjoyment trip. It's going to places where the mind is being geared for future, right? So all these children, last I said it this year, 110 of them, 2 big buses coming in just to take them out. And this year I took them to the museum in downtown Kingston. It was amazing, knowing and learning the history of Jamaica from scratch, right, to where we are today. Bishop, I tell you, it's just an amazing journey for me as a person and my team. I have a team here that goes with me. I have a team on the ground in Jamaica. So we have our meetings via Zoom, and we plan for these efforts concerning what to do, what the children needs, and all that. So we help to build their lives. I want to start a marching band. Can I go back to 1969? A marching band.
All right, all right.
To my community,
The thing that changed your life, you want to change some lives with that as well.
I must need go through Savannah.
You must.
Marching band came through Savannah and transformed my life. And I want to start a marching band with these children because if you want to change a community, you must start with the children. And when you teach them music, especially at their age, you give them a career. That's my intention. Operation Change.
As you talk about that, and I'm not going to what, but I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious about why haven't you played any instrument other than the timbre, the cymbal? What instrument you like?
Uh,
Which one you would have played if you like one? I'm not talking about tambourine, and I'm talking about tambourine. All right. We can hear the percussion. We get the percussion, but
actually, my deacon, which was the best deacon, that's Deacon Simith, right, who was our pastor's husband, taught me I could do the scales back then on the saxophone. Da, 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 da. Back then,
okay.
I don't know if I can. I always want to purchase a saxophone, so one day I'll learn to play it before I go to heaven.
Listen, I had two saxophones. I gave away one last year.
You wanna give me the other one?
I get no. Can't give you the other one. I can't give you them because I've done a little playing on that as well, and I promise myself, if there's a last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to play that satisfactorily. I do a little bit. I haven't taken it up in a long time now, but I took it to church and play. On Mother's Day a couple years ago, play something for my mother. If I could hear my mother pray again, I think I played it on the saxophone some while ago. So maybe I'm a little bit better than you are, but I'm not good. But I promise myself that I'm going to play the saxophone to gratify my own inner urge and desires, because that's the best piece of instrument to me that has been created. The saxophone, I love it. I love the alto sax. That's the one I really like. The alto sax.
Quote it again. I think I could learn it. So somebody need to present me for Christmas a saxophone. I would appreciate, so I could begin practicing again.
If I knew that, I would have given you one of my saxophones that I had. But unfortunately, I gave it to a young man and wished him the best. And I had the name for a couple of years, and I just kind of made him a gift. But hey, you have a lot of friends. Before you know it, you're gonna get maybe more than two saxophones, and you're gonna, what am I gonna do with all these saxophones? So somebody's gonna make you a saxophone present for your Christmas. I am declaring it.
I would appreciate it.
Now that they know you want to play the saxophone.
I would really appreciate, Bishop. It was great hanging out with you on Sunday. What can I say, sir?
Oh my God. We're wrapping this up, my friend. But Sunday was our appreciation service at our local church, and I asked my friend to preach. And boy, oh boy, we'll have to talk about that. Just like we have to talk about that offline. We'll have to talk about that offline, because that was beyond incredible. I don't know what the Lord was saying and why he was saying something that he was saying, and I'm not even sure you understood what the Lord was saying. But wow. I'm wondering if anybody on this line want to raise their hand and say, I want to make Bishop Owen Martin a Christmas gift for a saxophone. I'd love somebody to raise your hand and say, I promise that unique bishop, that special bishop, I promise him to give him a saxophone. And if you miss it tonight, and if you watch the program after we finish tonight, then you can contact me or contact Bishop Owen Z. Martin and say, I feel the Lord is saying to me, bless the man of God with a saxophone and let him go bring praise into his heart and into the house of God.
I would
So
really love
Sister
that.
Elaine Murphy, watch Sunday. That was beyond incredible, man. That was an incredible word.
Thank God.
And I think I sent in a message to you that I don't even, for some reason, you just couldn't let go of the thing, and that keep on adding pieces, 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 pieces. Come on, man. Where are you gonna go with this? But what stayed in my mind? You know
Mhm.
what stayed in my mind, and that I can't get out of my mind is Ephraim is mine.
Ephraim, how could I forget you?
I mean,
Ephraim.
Ephraim is mine.
Hallelujah.
And despite stumbling, doing the wrong, you know, the mistakes and whatever complications, and Ishmael is mine, and I will fight for him. I will defend him. I mean, there was so much in that message that was loaded. That was loaded, and I think that resonated in so many weeks. Somebody when some said, "Her heart is willing, but her flesh is weak." Yeah, I heard somebody. I heard this is a whole fairy tale or something. I heard one sister said she was so sympathetic with the pastor walking to church that she said if she had the money she would have bought him a car or something, and then later on the Lord blessed her, and she could. And somebody said, how come you say you wouldn't know, you haven't? He said, there was a time when I had the heart, I didn't have the means. Now I have it, I don't have the heart. So
Oh, man, church is interesting. That's
the
true.
church is interesting, right? But who knows, man? Somebody got you. You're a loved guy, man, and there are a lot of people who respect and love you and appreciate you. And maybe there's somebody, Sister Winsome heart is willing, our flesh is weak, but somebody's
Just
pocketbook is strong. I promise you, somebody's pocketbook is strong.
Violet, Sister Monica.
Dion, if you want to hear that message, go to Grace New Life Center on YouTube. Grace New Life Center, that's our church. Grace New Life Center, and listen to that message.
Is Dion from Gaysland?
Yeah, from that's Clovis' sister.
Dion Williams.
Yeah, Clovis Blair. That's Clovis Blair's sister.
Oh, I thought that was my Dion from.
Yeah, I think that's Clovis' sister right there. Our niece, maybe niece, maybe niece, maybe niece, maybe niece. I think it was. All right. So but I think there's a little break in the audio on Sunday because they make a little mistake, and I think it's chipped, but they got it linked up back. So if you get a portion, just get the other portion of the sermon. It's beyond incredible, beyond incredible, beyond incredible. Appreciate you, my friend. What didn't I ask you? What didn't I talk about tonight that you want to say? What's your last word, or what you want to say that I didn't ask about, that you can't leave for the next time?
I think really, my heart is evangelism, and I really would say to the church, to everybody watching, that it is our responsibility to win this world to Christ. And everybody that's listening, you can do this thing. It begins with a conversation, as Bishop would tell you, that it's a conversation. It begins with in sharing Christ, just saying your story, what he has done for you. Do it in your workplace, do it on the bus, do it in the trenches, wherever you are. Christ is the message, ladies and gentlemen. And that's my heart. That's my heart. The world needs to hear about Jesus. And Paul said it, Bishop, in Romans chapter 8. He said the world. I love how J.B. Phillips said it in his translation of the Romans. He said the world is on tiptoes, and they're
Mm,
waiting to see the manifestations of the sons of God. That's you.
mm,
The world waits to
mm-hmm,
hear
mm-hmm.
the message of Christ and what he has done in our lives. That's the message I want to leave here. Walk the trenches. Don't be afraid, right? People need the Lord. We've got this. Thank you so much.
And I just want to add to that we are all unique. We're all unique, and we have unique ministries and we have unique places to fill in life. Not everybody can do everything. Some things are not for some people, but everyone has a ministry. And what we need to do, they're saying that Paul plant, Apollos water, the increase comes from God. All of us, what is important is that we try to impact lives one way or the other. You maybe can't impact lives in the way that Bishop Owen G. Martin impact lives, but make sure that you're impacting lives one way or the other. Make sure that you try to bring change into lives for the better. If you can only just speak life into somebody, speak life. You can only be kind. Um, you know, um, I'm writing a book of thoughts right now, and I soon probably a new book of thoughts. And one of the thought is there kindness. I said like kindness is uh like a harness, that holds you together and keep you from falling. And sometimes all you can do is show kindness to somebody. Show somebody that you care. The Apostle Paul talks about if a man be overtaken in a fault, you which are spiritual, restore that one in the spirit of meekness, considering yourself. Sometimes it's not the big projects that we do that will impact a life forever, but the simple things that we consider to be not much.
Right.
You'd be surprised to know how great a value and the impact it can have, and the legacy you can leave, and how you can change a life forever. So, just figure out what will you have me to do, Lord, and how. I might not be like Bishop Martin, might not be like this person, but you are unique, and you ought not to be like anybody else. You got to be like yourself and do the best you can to impact lives in the way that God would have you. And so I pray that be your experience. Thank you for joining me on this program, my friends. And I have not forgotten that Bishop Martin wanted a saxophone. I have not forgotten that. So I'm still putting it out there. The man of God sow a seed. And by the way, he's a pastor for Life Worship Center in the Bronx.
Life Worship Center, Church of God of Prophecy, Bronx, New York. We worship at 909 East 233rd Street on Sunday mornings. Drop by, anybody. You don't have a church home, come see us, because we speak life.
We speak life. That's what we do. That's what we do. My friends, remember to follow me on Facebook. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you do TikTok, check out ORB Ministry on TikTok as well, because we're not leaving any stone unturned. We're going to take it where the Lord opens the door. We're going to take it there. And may God's blessing be upon you. Michelle Allen is in the house. I see her minister, Pastor Michelle Allen is in the house as well. And I know she is proud and she loves her pastor, and her pastor loves her as well. So thank you for joining me, my friend. We're going to go off like how we came on. Everybody has a story. And if you have not told your story yet, remember, your story can make a difference as well. You want to share your story? Email me at orbminister@gmail.com or direct message me, and so we can continue the conversation. You have a story, and your story is unique, and you could change lives by it, but you might not know you have it until you begin to tell it. All right. So until next time, my friends, thank you for joining us on this journey. We're going to come back sometime in the 2025, God's willing, to take up part 2. And we're going to have some of those bus rides and some of those pictures from Operation Change, Let the Children Come. We're going to make sure we have some videos and some clips to share with you. Bishop Martin, you rock. And that's what that's Clovis Blair's niece, Bishop Martin, you rock.
I gotta give you a Usain Bolt goodbye.
I said that. All right, my friends, I'll see you again on another Let's Talk with the Doc. Bishop, you're going to stay right there. We go off like how we came on. I'll see you again, my friends. Stay connected. You can still share this video with your friends even when we say goodbye. Love you all and see you again. Peace. Have a good Christmas season and stay focused. God bless you. Well, thank you for checking in on ORB Ministries. I trust that you will share with your friends, subscribe, hit the bell for notification, and stay tuned, because you never know what's next or who will join the conversation.